Oscar caliber movies are flatlining in the box office, making us wonder why American citizens are no longer really interested in thought-provoking films. You know, you found this, I mean, this story to me, I didn't know whether we're going to do this story. I like this story because it's raising some real issues, okay? One is, the biggest issue that I'm reading all this, and there's several stories about this, but the issue that surfaces again and again is the American public is tired of being preached to. They want to go to a movie, they want to be entertained. I don't want to know what your social and cultural issues are. I'm coming here to be entertained. Don't put them on me. If you do, I'm going to leave. They're leaving now. Pick it up.
Yeah, I think a lot of this, because this is actually from New York Times Magazine. Yeah. So this is I know it's a little off the beaten path for us, but it is interesting because, yeah, you do have all of these, I guess what they would call the Oscar bait movies. The very artistic ones, they're well written, you know, they're well produced.
Frankly, it's good stuff.
Good budgets, but nobody cares anymore. Nobody wants to go to the movies or rent it at home and have to actually think about anything. They don't want to have to follow a story. They want to see, okay, is this going to explode? You know, if not, I'm tuning out of it. My attention span can't handle it anymore.
Give me your take. We and I talked about something similar. What is your take on what's happening out there?
I do have a theory, and I think it's all psychological, and I think it goes in cycles here. You know, right now, everything is kind of bad. In this country, you know, the economy's bad, the job market is bad, wages are bad, politics is terrible. So what do people want? They want a hero. They want a larger-than-life figure that they can root for, the good guy, good girl, whoever it is, to come out on screen and show them that, by God, we can overcome anything. Because that's what's popular
all we're
right
getting
now.
is superhero shows where the impossible takes place right in front of your eyes.
It gives people hope. You know, you look at that and you say, look, this is somebody I can stand up with. So
how many of them can you watch? how many times? It's the same script. How many can you watch?
It is very formulaic. But so it goes a little further back too. During the Iraq wartime, everybody was terrified, right? We were told terrorists are right around every single corner.
Right.
So people were afraid. The world was a scary place. And that was a time when you did have these huge cinematic, thought-provoking films that people got immersed in. And it's because we wanted to see something beautiful. In a world that scared us, we wanted that beauty. And then you go back even further, the 90s. 90s were a good time. The economy was doing great. You know, everything seemed fine. People were happy. So what was super popular at that time? That's when you had your Jim Carreys, your Adam Sandlers, and
everybody's
Chris
laughing.
Yeah, the goofball comedies were so popular.
Yeah.
And it does kind of resonate with the atmosphere in the country at that time. So I think where we're at right now is people don't want to think. We think all the time. We think about how bad our finances are, how bad the political atmosphere is, how bad the environment is.
And so they don't want to go in and watch Nightmare Alley, that I thought was a pretty damn good movie. You know, but here's the number. Here's how bad they're losing. She Said. I haven't seen She Said. I haven't seen it. Cost $55 million and it made $5 million. Devotion. That's another one. I haven't seen it, but it cost $100 million and it made $14 million. And when you read this article, they're very clear. They're saying the arrogance of Hollywood, the bubble of Hollywood, is they believe that the rest of the world thinks like they do. They don't. And Hollywood comes up with these excuses. Well, there's simply too many dramas. One of their excuses, streaming is killing us. I think it probably is. One excuse is that we're still hearing the coronavirus is killing us. The other, I mean, these excuses go on, but they won't admit that what they're thinking about in their bubble, their gated communities, where they don't worry about what the typical American worries about, in their gated communities, they're so disconnected with what the American public is thinking about.
Well, and a bunch of hypocrites too. I mean, they do like to get preachy about everything, and then we turn around and find out that, oh, we've got water restrictions in California, but you overshot those restrictions by a couple thousand gallons.
Yes.
You're a bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to make your artsy movie, make your artsy movie. It's great. People will find it if
they want to. But don't be surprised when people don't go see it.
Right.
Yes. Lose your money, but if that's what you want to do, great. This is a big thing that they've got to deal with, frankly. And the unfortunate thing is there's some really good movies being made. I mean, I thought Nightmare Alley was a great movie. I didn't know some of these other ones, but it was really well done. But it was a financial disaster. The United States has dropped an average of 46 bombs every day for the last 20 years. Now, I don't know. This story showed up in Salon.com. Again, no mention of it in corporate media. Why? Because if you turn on MSNBC or you turn on CNN or Fox News, they're going to be you'll see advertisements by Raytheon, advertisements by the big weapons industry. Are you going to go out and buy a missile? No. Why are they advertising? Why are they going to MSNBC and running all those ads? For access, so nobody will talk about the kind of thing we're going to talk about right now. Pick the story up.
Yeah, this is truly terrifying to think about. But as you said, 46 bombs per day over the last 20 years. And of course, a lot of that happened, in the Iraq War and Afghanistan. But it hasn't ended, right? We're not at the point where we're not dropping any bombs per day now.
Right.
Bombs get dropped by the United States every single day, not just on average, but every day we're bombing somebody somewhere for whatever reason they've come up with that day.
Okay, well, what I think is important about this is this report that is supposed to come out regularly. This is supposed to be a regular report, has been stifled, for 21 months?
Yeah.
Now, who's been in charge for the last 12 months at least? Who is in charge? It's the Democrats and it's the Republicans. They know how important this report is, because it gives us an insight into how big our weapons industry has become. Weapons industry in the United States probably is the number one most profitable industry in the United States, besides pharmaceuticals. And so right now, we start seeing, it's important that we know that 337,000 bombs and missiles have been released in everywhere from Syria to Yemen, you name it, we've dropped them. Nobody's paid attention to. We've dropped them out of drones. But the point to this story, where I landed with this story, is it's been a big secret. And it wasn't just the Republicans, it was the Democrats that kept it a big secret. We're under a siege warfare mentality. And we're doing it not for national security all the time, but because the weapons industry has such a huge impact on what our politicians do.
And this chart here, which I love, that came with this story, as I mentioned, obviously we had Iraq, we have Syria, we have Afghanistan and Yemen, which, totally unjustifiable for what we're doing over there. But there's also this number right here at the bottom, 28,217 bombs dropped in other countries. So not Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, or Yemen.
What are the other countries?
Wars, exactly. Where are these bombs being dropped?
This is we are now the premier weapons maker in the world, and it's our economy.
Yep.
This is Boeing economy. This is Raytheon economy. And to hell with how many bombs we drop, to hell with whether or not it creates new Cold Wars with places like Russia and China. We have a weapons industry completely unregulated. There's nobody controlling that throttle. This air power, it's called the Air Power Summaries. That's the report. That's the report that all this is taken from. That's the report that was been suppressed by two administrations.
And it's supposed to come out every month. We're supposed to see how many bombs are being dropped. But look, you point out this should be the national symbol of the United States. It's not a bald eagle. It's this missile right here.
Yeah.